Next, for neurodiversity, we have autism. And often, the uninitiated just think neurodiversity means autistic. It is part of it, an integral part, but it is only one of many forms of neurodiversity. Now, with autism, it isn't entirely clear the implications for pre-employment testing. For example, there's some good evidence that particularly more high-functioning people with autism, they tend to do better on certain pre-employment tests, particularly abstract reasoning, logical, non-verbal reasoning. They tend to outperform neurotypical people in this domain, okay? Which means making an adjustment is completely nonsensical. But that isn't always the case. It is a spectrum. It is not a monolith. The only time that we know of, in the UK anyway, where someone has challenged a selection decision on the basis of pre-employment tests and autism was for a situational judgment test. Now, SJTs, they present hypothetical situations and then ask what the candidate would do or rate the effectiveness of various actions. You can see how hypothetical scenarios might be challenging because people with autism are often very literal. They may struggle with hypothetical situations. This is often more of a problem for interviews than it is for pre-employment tests, but SJTs are a bit of a special case here because they behave very similarly. So if you are keen to avoid this issue, either don't use situational judgment tests or you use them in a way that is a bit more tangible. So for example, test partnerships, situational judgment tests. We provide a hypothetical situation, various potential actions to remedy the situation, and then you rate the effectiveness. That is much better than asking, what would you do to resolve the situation, and then forcing them to pick an option. Because someone who's very literal might think, I wouldn't do any of these, I would do X. And of course, with a questionnaire format, that doesn't work. It isn't scalable. You can't do that with a situational judgment test. That's where contention lies. So as a result, if you're going to use SJTs and you're keen on managing neurodiversity, just make sure that the question format is very unambiguous. Rating, ranking, that sort of thing. Does not ask them, what would you do? Because they can't actually answer that question format.